So we'll talk a few minutes about Shabuot and the holiday that's coming on. It's because Shabuot is a holiday very often not fully appreciated, because Shabuot, all the other holidays, we understand exactly what the focus is about. They have some symbol to do, right? Shana, Kippur, Sukkot, Pesach. There's an interesting anecdote I was told when I was a kid about that the old Hachamim, in 67th Street here in the community, specifically Ashkenazi and others, they would wear a tuxedo on Shabuot. Why? Because nobody appreciated what Shabuot is about, so they wanted to show the Shabuot of Shabuot. Really, that Shabuot is really Hag Matan Torah, and it's a unique time where there is no symbol, there is no specific connection of a mitzvah like Elulah, Betrog, Sukkah, Shofar, Matzah. Doesn't exist. Why? Because it's really just about no intermediary. Ashen HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The human beings get together with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. No specific mitzvah. The actual mitzvah is connecting with the Torah itself. And so that's a unique idea. It really applies to Shabuot. And it's, if we think about it, Shabuot is the climax. Shabuot is the only holiday in the Torah that's unique, that it has no date. There's no date. No date in the Torah. Go look and find the date. There's nothing. You'll never find a date. In fact, not only is there no date, but there's a mahloket in the Gemara as to what the date of Matan Torah was in Sinai. Was it the 6th or was it the 7th? And really, that and the halachas that we fell on the 7th, not on the 6th. What are we doing celebrating on the 6th? It really, the actual date that it was is so irrelevant to the holiday. Why? Because we're commanded, Pesach comes, you count 7 weeks. Now, sometimes the 7 weeks, depending, we know the halacha, could be that Rosh Hashanah, it could be that Rosh Chodesh Iyar and Rosh Chodesh Sivan, both of them were 30-day months. If that would be, then Shabuot would fall out on the 5th. If one was a 30-day month, one was a 29-month, then it would fall out on the 6th. If they were both 29-day months, it would fall out on the 7th. Because it's the amount of days that's consistent. It's the amount of weeks. In other words, 7 weeks from the day after Pesach. You count that, then the next day will be Shavuot. Meaning, it's not relevant as to the day. The Rosh Chodesh and the Kiddush HaChodesh is absolutely irrelevant here for Shavuot. So much so that there was an opinion that for Shavuot, even in Hus La'aretz, you wouldn't need 2 days. Why would you need 2 days for Shavuot? You know when Pesach is, right? And by the time you found, at some point you would find out when Pesach was, and you count. And when you count, 7 weeks is Shavuot. Meaning they have plenty of time, the Edim, to get there. Nevertheless, the halakha is not true. We don't want to make a difference between all the holidays. So we see that really the date of the month is not so crucial when it comes to Shavuot. And therefore there's no date in the Torah B'chlal. Rather, it is 7 weeks after Pesach. Why? Why is it like that? Why? Unique out of all the holidays, we don't have a date in the Torah. And not only don't we have a date in the Torah, but the date is immaterial. The day of the month at the holiday, we don't even care. Could be the 6th, could be today. It's always the 6th because we have a set calendar that we know that Iyar is always going to have, right? That Nisan is always going to have 30 days. Iyar is always going to have 29 days. Okay? So we know that that's what's going to happen. So Rosh Chodesh Sivan is going to be 1 day. Rosh Chodesh Iyar is going to be 2 days. We know that. But in the times of the Bet HaMikdash, it wasn't always that way. They would play with it based on the Edim. Could be both have 30, both have 29. It wasn't set. So therefore, the date of Shavuot would fluctuate. Today, it's always going to be on the 6th, but that's it. So why is it so unique like that. So I think the idea is like this. I think the uniqueness of Shabuot lies in the fact that what? That Shabuot really is the culmination of Yetziat Mitzrayim. Yetziat Mitzrayim is a unique experience. We experience Yetziat Mitzrayim, right? Because we were Mishubadim to Pharaoh. We were sitting in slavery in Pharaoh. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu took us out. But that's only, there's no essence of freedom from that physical bondage without Shavuot. Pesach becomes a useless holiday without Shavuot. Pesach, okay, it's nice. We took out, we became free. We became free from slavery. As Ma'osim, what does that do for me? How does that help me? What does it gain? What does it gain to give me? So the idea is like this. Doesn't give me. The idea is that Pesach comes out. We become freed from the physical bondage, only to unite as a spiritual nation under Matan Torah and accept. And that's why the second we leave, we count already. Be'emet, the counting of the Omer. יש בזה מחלוקת ראשונים. Most of the Rishonim say that the only time counting the Omer is Deoraita is what? Is when you had the Korban. Why? On Pesach, the day after Pesach, we would bring Korban Minchat HaOmer. We would bring an Omer offering. That day, which is the day after Pesach, right? To the second day of the first day of the second day of Pesach, we would count from there 49 days, and then we would bring another mincha. That's Minchat HaOmer. That Minchat HaOmer that we brought on Pesach permitted us to eat from all the new wheat of the year. It was brought from barley. Then we would bring, and there's another mincha brought on Shabuot, Shtei Alechem. That was the only time we ordered for it actually hametz on the mizbeach. And that Shtei Alechem korban would be the korban, the mincha that would permit us to eat from, not to eat, to bring korbanot, to bring menachot from all the new wheat. So those two, Minchat HaOmer and Shtei Alechem, the Torah says you count from one to the other. Now, that's the point of counting the Omer from the Torah. Now today, we don't have those offerings. So what happens? According to many authorities, the counting that we count today is not Minat Torah. It's Midrabanan. However, one who differs with all those Rishonim is Harambam. Harambam says, no, counting the Omer today is Doraita. Why? We don't have Minchat HaOmer. We don't have Shtei Alechem. How is it Doraita? How is it possible that the Chovah today to count the Omer is Doraita? Elama. The Fishtat Harambam, it's very clear why it's Doraita. Like I just said before, you cannot find the day of Shabuot without counting. If you don't have Minchat HaOmer, Rambam doesn't say this explicitly, but kach mashma. If you don't have Sfirat HaOmer, Deoraita, then your Shabuot is not Deoraita. Because then the Kvi'at of Shabuot is Midrabanan. The whole Shabuot can't be Deoraita. Ela mashma, the Fishtat Rambam. Kvi'at HaOmer, Deoraita. Shabuot's Deoraita, because Shabuot, the day, how we know to sanctify Shabuot, is dependent on the count from Pesach. It's not dependent on any day of the month. And the idea, as I said, because Shabuot is the absolute culmination of Pesach. Shabuot is the ultimate height of counting. It's almost like on Sukkot, when you count 7 days, on the 8th day is Shmini Atzeret. Here you count 7 sevens, and the end completion of 7 sevens is Shabuot. Okay? So that's a little bit of a parallel between Sukkot and Pesach and Shabuot and Shmini Atzeret. So this is what the holiday of Shabuot is unique and special, and it marks the time where Am Yisrael, of course, enters into this brit with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're celebrating our connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu and our receiving of the Torah Mamash, right? And Shabuot is connected to another day. Right? We compared Pesach to Sukkot, okay? But Shavuot is also connected to Yom Kippurim. Why is Shavuot connected? Because they're both Matan Torah. The Gemara says that on Shavuot we accepted the Luchot Rishonot, the first Luchot. And on Yom Kippurim we got the second Luchot. So the idea of Shavuot is also a day of tremendous elevation. Shavuot is a day of Luchot Rishonot, the tremendous elevation, like Yom Kippurim, if we said. There's this aspect, and it's brought down, especially in the Chachamim Mekubalim, that Shavuot is that absolute day where we accepted it. Shavuot actually is more Yir'ah than, because Shavuot, according to Chachamim, Kafa Alehem Hakar Kigigit, whatever that means, that they were forced to accept it. On Yom Kippurim, was the Shniyot, they accepted it more willingly. This is the idea that we really need to look into, this concept of Shavuot. That's the concept of Shavuot. Another component really is that on Shavuot, we also read Megillat Ruth, right? Ma kashur Megillat Ruth to Shavuot. It's true, it's the time of the year, right? But Megillat Ruth, right, is the idea of acceptance of Torah. Ken Ruth Gematria 606, right? And Taryah Gematria 613. She had Sheva mitzvot b'nei she accepted on herself 606 mitzvot extra over there. Why? Because she came tahat kanfei Ashkenazi. She had her own Kabbalat Torah. She had her own acceptance of the Torah. The idea of accepting the Torah on this time of the year is crucial. And this is what we have to commemorate and understand, that we accepted upon ourselves that Torah. Am Yisrael, it was not so pashut, right? Har Sinai was a revolutionary moment in our connection to Am Yisrael. And to accept of ourselves this element of this Torah on this day, that is really the ultimate celebration. Even though, really, when you look at it, nowhere in the Torah does it say in Shabuot that we're celebrating Matan Torah. It doesn't say it. In fact, the Abarbanel goes into a very lengthy description and a connection, and right, is really that what the questioning, even if that was the whole holiday was about. The Fidato, it's not so pashut, it's about that. Abba, Yarad Alam, who attacked Abarbanel on this point, Rabbi Eliyahu ben Amuzig, one of the great commentaries of the late period, Italy, 150 years ago, he proves conclusively that Shavuot, even though the Torah doesn't explicitly say it, it's understood clearly that it was about Matan Torah. That it was such a known event that the Torah doesn't, it was pashut to everyone that Shavuot is relevant and connected to Matan Torah, and that's what the holiday is. And Eliyahu ben Amuzig says this is Perush Em LaMikra. So it's a unique, and he brings many, many proofs disputing Abarbanel's claim that it may not be connected to Hag Matan Torah. So when we sit here and we move into tomorrow night, the idea of Shavuot, we've been through a difficult time. Pesach, we were alone. Pesach, we didn't have Bet Knesset. Already from Pesach, our connection to the normal establishment of Torah, Minyanim, was weakened, right? And we tried to do the best we can. We created a family structure. We were moved forward, but even families by ourselves. And we counted the Omer almost be a Eid, this whole 4-year period. Shavuot is a time that even though we're not all going to be in Bet Knesset and we're not going to all be in Minyanim, Shavuot's a personal time between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We celebrate it on two levels. Of course, the Am Yisrael's connection with the Torah, but also not only Am Yisrael's connection with the Torah, but on a personal level. So right now, it would be nice to be in a shul. It would be nice to have this. But in a sense, all we need is the Torah to celebrate Shavuot properly. All we need is that connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu through Torah. And that's what, the night tomorrow night, we're traditional, we all go to shul, we all stay up, and we're going to be missing part of that idea. But we can still focus and continue to focus, even on Shavuot, on that connection with the Torah. Like Ruth was individual, but she accepted upon herself the Torah and she connected it. So Be'ezat Hashem, we should all be able to celebrate this holiday of Shavuot with its beauty and its glory. And Be'ezat Hashem, next year we'll all be in Bet Knesset together, and this will be a vague memory. I guess now we'll take some, Jesse, we wanted to say we'll take a few questions on some of the halachot and some of the inyanim, some of the issues, and then.
If anyone has a question, you could, I don't know if you could unmute yourself, but you could raise your hand and I could unmute you. Okay, or I could take it. Can you speak, Rabbi, I guess briefly, to I guess the minhag and the importance of eating dairy on the holiday, or vice versa, or actually having to eat meat on the holiday, and how to juggle both?
God, I mean, God saw. First of all, we have to know that more important than any year, any day of the year, Simchat Yom Tov and Simchat Basar v'Yayin. Shtat HaRambam, especially basar, is a necessary component to Simchat Yom Tov. So a person should be eating meat, certainly in the day, where the card of the idea of Simcha is in the day meal. So a person should not, in the 2 day meals of Shabuot, certainly a person should be having meat, should not be having dairy. Even now, the nights, some have the custom to have dairy at nights. The original way that Ramah brings it down is that the night you have meat, the day you have meat, and in the morning you go, you have shaharit, you make kiddush in the morning. Person prays early, prays Netzach Hamad the first day because he stays up all night. So it says he finishes minyan 6:30, 7 o'clock to get home. He makes kiddush, he has dairy, gvina. Gam the second day, he has dairy in the breakfast meal. And the rest of the meals should be meat. If there's a custom, and there are customs, and I've seen many discussions of the customs, and that gam in the night time, they have dairy, they gam b'seder. Kol od in the meat day you have meat, they gam b'seder. They have all sorts of dairy meals and customary meals that at most at night. About on the day, and somehow a person should have reserved the day meals to be meat. To have fulfilled the mitzvah of Simchat Yom Tov. It's much more important on Yom Tov to have meat than even on Shabbat. Shabbat and Chovah to have meat. Right? It's not a Chovah. But on Yom Tov, yesh vazeh Chovah. At least some meat. And yain.
I would like to ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, about the stove. When a person cooking something on the Chag, I would like to know what's the difference between the electric fire and the gas fire, because I heard that a gas fire can lower the fire after you hear cooking, and the electric is a problem to lower the fire.
So I never heard that electric is a problem to lower it, because it's just lowering the flame. The problem with the electric is usually what happens with the electric is it's an electric starter. When you turn it on, it's an electric starter. But then you have this problem like electricity. So therefore, with an electric oven, right, what you should do is, right, you really turn it on the Hag. Elama, you have to leave it on. And if you want to, if you want to shut it off, you can do it yourself. Like anything, you have to do it on your goy. If you want to lower the flame, you should only lower the flame while the food is on, because it's lowering the flame would be part of the cooking process. I mean, you should lower the flame. Only lower the flame while the cook some food. But the only difference between electric and gas is that electric has that electric starter, and therefore starting it through electricity is a problem, because we're no heg. You store electricity on top. The electricity. Okay. היו כמה חכמים שחשבו, when electricity came out, that electricity was מותר. אבל, all of ספרדים ואשכנזים, כן? היו ספרדים שחשבו שזה מותר, והיו אשכנזים גם שחשבו שזה מותר. אבל, today, גם הספרדים, גם אשכנזים, ראו technologically מה זה electricity, ואמרו שזה פשוט, שזה לא אש, זה אסור על יום טוב, כן, electricity. וכולם עושים פה אחד היום, electricity on Yom Tov, so that's the problem with the electric starter. אבל מצד lowering it or this and that, the flame's the flame, אין בזה שום הבדל.
Isaac. Oh.
כן, someone once asked the question, I'll just address this, מעניין, a question about people have a custom in different communities to stand up for Aseret HaDibirot. Is that permitted or is it asur? So it's based on the Gemara. The Gemara says that they really wanted to say Aseret HaDibirot every day. They wanted to put it in the tefillah. But it says the Gemara, bitilu, they knocked it out. They didn't do it. Mishum tar'omet haminim, right? Because the minim were the ones who said only Aseret HaDibirot was from Sinai. Everything else wasn't. So they knocked it out. They refused. They stopped that custom. Now the question is, people have a custom to stand up during the Aliyah of Aseret HaDibirot. So what do? So really, that was a debate amongst the Rishonim. Marana Bet Yosef brings one opinion that it shouldn't be done publicly. Any public thing showing the difference between Aseret HaDibirot and other things, it's not a good minhag. Others, Rabbi Shmuel Abu Hab, he defends the custom. But in reality, what almost none of the Rishonim saw, the only one who saw it was the Marikash, Rabbi Yaakov Castro, at the time of Maran, because he lived in Mitzrayim. He saw the tshuva, but this tshuva was hidden from most of the Rishonim because it didn't come out till many years later. We have an actual tshuva of Harambam. Harambam himself writes, he's asked the question in his time. There were two hachamim. They had this custom of standing up in Aseret HaDibirot. Is it a proper custom or not? One hacham said it's an improper custom. You have to remove the minhag. Bad. Because, again, mishum taromet minim. People will say only this. The second rabbi says, no, it's not a problem. It's a custom. And he showed it's an old custom that goes back to Anshe Bavel. Brings the source. Gemara. But the first rabbi answers back, no. And Bavel was standing up. I said, they weren't standing up because I said Dibirot. They're standing up generally. Who goes up I said Dibirot? The Rosh Yeshiva, the Hacham, the head of the Yeshiva in Bavel. And he was the leader of the entire Jewish world. So they stood up in his honor. Happens to be, that's what, but not because of a said Dibirot. You can't say I said Dibirot. So then they brought Harambam. His argument, this Hacham is Hacham. Who's right? Harambam says the first Hacham is correct. The Be'emet, you should not, the rabbi who was saying that this custom of standing up, Aseret HaDibirot, he was correct, and we should not keep this custom. And therefore, Rambam opposed the custom of standing up Aseret HaDibirot. Now what happens? You're in a community where they stand up. You don't stand up. Your community doesn't stand up, okay? Now, and Chacham Ovadiah wrote strongly against it, but what's funny, always in Chacham Ovadiah's shul, they always stand up, even though he was the one. Why? Because he always gets the aliyah. So since he always gets the aliyah, they stand up for him. So it turns out in his shul, they're always standing up. But anyway, he gets the aliyah every week, so standing up. So now, what should you do? You come to a community that has this custom. Now, if you stand up, it's a problem. It's mamash gives force to people who don't believe in the authenticity of the Torah. If you sit down, the whole place is standing up and you're sitting down. It's not nice. So what should we do? So the Chacham Ovadiah's solution is like this. Chacham Ovadiah's solution is stand up from the beginning of the Aliyah, before you get Aseret HaDibirot. So therefore, you stood up. You didn't make a distinction. So that's how we should have that, because this way you won't stand out from the people. Yeah, you have that.
Isaac, you had a question?
Yeah, Rabbi Harold, you touched on it, but I just want to kind of get more clarification. You said, as the Torah says, the Torah never states that Matan Torah is associated with the Chag of Shavuot. It seems it's more of an agricultural holiday, right? Right. And it's even, isn't it even a debate that it's really like a Sunday, Mimachrot HaShabbat, 7 weeks and all that. So,
No, in our tradition that's not a debate. זה כבר רק דרך הצדוקים. כן, אבל in our traditions בוודאי, מחרת השבת זה day after פסח. יש בזה מחלוקת הצדוקים שחלקו עלינו. אבל לפי דעת החכמים זה, כולם מסכימים, מחרת השבת is the day of Shabuot, the day after Pesach. We can't say.
Right. So we say Da'at Chachamim.
Ibn Ezra, he had an interesting approach. He said that Maharat Shabbat could literally be Shabbat, but it happens to be that Shabbat, that in that time, really Shabbat Pesach fell out on Shabbat. So therefore, Maharat Shabbat is also Maharat Pesach, and that's why the Torah uses that language. But the mitzvah is Maharat Pesach. יש בזה הרבה ראיות לכאן ולכאן, הרמב"ם is known, so therefore, but yes, היו צדוקים, בביתוסים, they had their own calendars, אבל in traditional Jewish calendar, לא היה אף אחד, that said מחרת שבת is not Pesach, Shabbat Bereshit, זה רק הצדוקים.
Right. Just the Torah's, one thing, the Torah's absence of putting the Chag of Shavuot, relating it to Matan Torah, I mean, and I know Chachamim related to right away and all that. You know, sometimes the omission of something says something. I just wonder. Like I can play the opposite and say, well, the Torah doesn't want to specify Matan Torah. Well, because every day should be a day of Torah. You know, and
that's exactly what the Barbanel says. The Barbanel says that the Matan Torah was too great of a day, of an event to be celebrated on a specific day. That's Barbanel. ככה הוא כותב. Barbanel says it's too great of an event to limit it to we celebrate it on one specific day. Aval, as I mentioned, Rabbi Eliyahu ben Amuzek, who's a very critical thinker, he's not, he's very open and very involved in, especially in Italy in the late 19th century. He was very involved, in critical thinking and analytical studies. He believes very harshly. He brings many, many ra'ayot. I'm saying maybe a person could look at it, maybe 10 pages he spent trying to prove, first of all, that Abarbanel is incorrect and showing from many nuances, not specific nuances, in the Mikra itself, that the Torah goes out of its way to connect Matan Torah to Shavuot. Now you'll ask, why not mefurash, right? Why does the Torah have to go so nuanced in Matan Torah, right?
Like every other holiday, it brings a reason.
Right. Every other, right? So where we have the agriculture, and by the way, every holiday has a historical aspect to it and agricultural aspect to it. Every holiday, right? Pesach, also this Sukkot, there's all this historical, Kiba Sukkot Shafti, Yetziat Mitzrayim, and then there's the agricultural component to it. Why Shabuot is the historical thing. So first of all, he says that Matan Torah on Shavuot, Shiv'at Shavuot, is so mefurash in the Torah that the Torah was given 7 weeks after Yetziat Mitzrayim, right? So it's pashut that was the day that the Torah didn't have to go out of its way to accelerate. It's one of his, and in other ways he does accept the idea and the argument that the Matan Torah is not limited to only one day, but he says that Shavuot is definitely the holiday of Matan Torah, but he didn't want to only limit it to that one day, that it actually permeates our entire being. And therefore it shows how Chazal are very enveloped in Shavuot being a Matan Torah, not because they're arguing on the Torah, but because they sense that this is the message of the Torah. But yesh b'zeh, nachon, yesh Abarbanel that goes a little different direction. אבל כמעט רוב כל המפרשי המקרא, critical ones, not critical ones, traditional ones, less traditional ones, and Chazal and everything understand Shavuot as connected to Matan Torah.
Okay, anyone else?
Okay. See here, they asked about what should we learn at night. So, zeh hashuv ladat. What everyone should do, especially if you're not going to be in shuls, you're going to be at home. It's very hard to stay up all night by yourselves in the house. About minimally, should read the tikkun of the Tanakh, the portions where you read the beginning and the end of each parasha. That should be done. It takes about an hour, hour and a half, whatever it is. That should be done on the night of Shabuot for sure. After that, there's an inyan to study if someone has time. Sefer HaMitzvot of Harambam should be at least read through some of the mitzvot. And if a person can continue to study whatever it is that night, learning would be very beneficial, and stay till Netzach Hama in the morning. Netzach Hama, I think, is about 5:30, 5:27 maybe. So person can pray. That's like every year that we do that. It's great. He has to take a couple hours nap because he doesn't have the shul, doesn't have the classes, doesn't have that. But at least he should read the tikkun. The next day, of course, we have the custom to say the Azharot of Ibn Gabirol and Megillat Ruth. Azharot is a poem that was written about all the 613 mitzvot. Mitzvot aseh, mitzvot lo ta'aseh. Our custom is to read the first day mitzvot aseh, second day is to read lo ta'aseh. And also half of Ruth on the first day, half of Ruth on the second day. That's a very, very ancient and special, unique custom that everyone should do after lunch. They should take the Azharot and they should read them, and they should read Megillat Ruth on the day of Shabuot. Zeh ma'od hashuv. Okay?
So if you're not praying in a minyan because of safety reasons, what would be the earliest time to pray? You mentioned that if you're in a minyan, it's Netzach Hama, if I'm not mistaken, but what if there is no minyan and you're staying up all night?
It doesn't change. Minyan or not minyan doesn't change the earliest time to pray. Even a minyan, if it's difficult and he wants to pray earlier than that, he could pray from Alot HaShahar. Alot HaShahar, a second, I'll tell you now. Alot HaShahar on that day is going to be
Zip code 07723.
It has nothing to do with the minyan. Minyan, in other words, even not minyanim have right. Friday morning, Alot HaShahar is 3:40. Right, you could start already praying. You put your earliest talit in tefillin. It says here 4:27. But you could already start praying from before that. Just put on the. You could already start praying from 4 o'clock.
And Amidah?
Amidah already after that. Anytime before that is fine. Already once from 4 o'clock going on, you could pray. Once you start, you can pray the Amidah whenever you get to that Amidah.
Same thing would apply for Hoshana Rabbah.
Same thing would apply for Hoshana Rabbah. If hopefully we're not in COVID.
Okay. Rabbi, a little bit off the topic. When you're talking about minyanim and some are praying in minyanim, what is your opinion right now on those that want to have a minyan, whether it's outside or inside, and invite a certain amount of people?
All the time that the doctors were saying us to pray minyan. I didn't pray in minyan for 2 months plus. Okay? Now, the doctors issue, we follow whatever the recommendation of the doctors and the safety precautions they tell us to take. So now, until last week, we were inside. We were praying b'yahid. Then the doctor, I think Cuomo, he said you can have minyanim, but the OU directed us not to open the shuls, to wait 2 weeks after they said that. That's what they said. The OU said 2 weeks after the government allows it. So we wait 2 weeks to open up the shuls. 2 weeks, then we can have. Now what happens? But in the meantime, I think I saw the doctors, they came out with some guidelines, community doctors, man, that if you want in the meantime to pray outdoors and have minyanim with certain social distancing rules, and they put, I think, 10 or 11 rules, you can do it. So everyone, as long as he's following the guidelines of the medical professionals that know what they're talking about, that are concerning it, that's what you should do. So until the government said we stayed praying b'yahid, then they opened it up. We're waiting 2 weeks for the shuls. And in the meantime, the doctors are giving us guidelines how to do outdoor minyanim. We should always follow the medical professionals who teach us exactly how to keep ourselves healthy in this time. And sekanat nefesh is paramount, more important than anything else. And the doctors here, the halakha says that was what this class was supposed to be, when listening to the, but it changed.
Right. But do you feel there's almost like, there's certain specialized minyans that obviously have to limit their minyans, and certain people won't have access to those minyanim, let's say, where others will? I mean, let's be honest. A couple of weeks ago, I was on Ocean Parkway, 9 o'clock. There are people walking in suits. Okay, now 9 o'clock in the morning, they're walking with suits. Where do you think they were coming from? Obviously, in minyanim.
Shabbat, you mean?
Yes. Yes.
I wore a suit every single Shabbat.
No, I'm talking about not a rabbi.
Shabbat, I didn't wear a suit every day. It would change me. Every Shabbat, I wore Shabbat clothes. I didn't pray b'minyanim.
Right. We're not talking about Rabbi Harold Sutton now. We're talking about.
I don't know what people do. You're asking me what is done. We prayed until, like I said, we follow whatever the doctor said until they told us to pray inside. We pray inside. They opened the shuls. They said wait 2 weeks. 2 weeks. In the meantime, now they're saying there's guidelines. They issued a letter, I think, a few days ago. There's guidelines. They put, I think, 11 steps guidelines. If a person wants outdoor minyanim. Now it's true, the minyanim are limited. Part of the guidelines, you can have only 10, 11 people. So therefore you need multiple. You can't, because not everyone's people are gonna be blocked out of this one, blocked out of this one. So you have to have a lot of them in multiple places. But that's what the doctors are writing. Paul, again, the idea when it comes to safety is to follow the advice of the medical professionals to keep ourselves safe. Shmirat the guf, shmirat the nefesh is more important than all the other mitzvot. Shabbat, again, if we could do it in a safe way under the guidelines of the medical professionals, well, kavod. If we cannot, we cannot.
Okay.
And by the way, even in the time when they're opening it up, if a person privately says, listen, I want to be extra cautious and I want to pray b'yahid, he has the right. He's not doing anything wrong. He shouldn't feel that he's doing something wrong. A lot of people are saying, I'm sitting down praying and I'm watching every minyan, I feel like terrible. No. Some people want to pray b'minyan according to the doctor's recommendations. Some people feel that even that they want to be extra cautious and pray b'yahid.
I mean, there are those that say we're going to wait for a vaccine until we get together with people, whether they're elderly.
Wait for a vaccine, you're going to pray. It could be a year and a half. You're not going to go to minyan. No,
there are some medical people that say that.
And that's medical people who are well invested in the vaccine. Wait for a vaccine, wait a year and a half to pray b'minyan.
I agree.
And the shame of pharmaceutical investors.
I agree. Okay.
We have to have sechel gam. You know what I'm saying? Most of the doctors are not saying that we should wait a year plus to pray b'minyan. Most of the doctors are saying now, like the OU came out, and I remember Dr. Dietrich was saying that he was a fan of the OU plan that you wait 2 weeks. He said you should wait really 3 weeks, but at 2 weeks, as we said that. But he advocated for that OU plan. And that's the plan that we're following. That the rabbis get together, the rabbis, we're following that plan when they decree open up, we open up away. How about to wait till there's a vaccine? It could be a year and a half till there's a vaccine. No tefillah b'tzibur until vaccine. I don't understand that. And who knows the vaccine's going to work, and who knows they're going to be... Listen. Yesh inyan... No, I don't know.
Rabbi Victor Dweck had a question.
Yeah.
I'll read it from... Because usually we put flowers in shul for the holiday. Should we put it in our house if we aren't praying in shul?
It's nice to have flowers in the house, in the shul. Say that. Yeah, Shecham Ovadia asked about that question about flowers in the shul. Is it Hokot HaGoyim? Is it Asur Mishum Hokot HaGoyim? Right? Because it comes from the Goyim do it before. He says it's not Hokot HaGoyim because it's not a religious observance. The Hokot HaGoyim was it's a religious observance or it's an observance it's an action that makes no sense, has no logical reason. Then we assume it's a religious ritual thing. About Kol od that it has a a logical reason like beautifying the knis, and b'zeh hokot hagoyim. Rabbi Moshe Hazan and Kirach Shel Romi, he asked the question, can they put bells on the knis like there was on the church? He said, he did, because it was there to get the people up, to get the people minyan on time. They are b'sechel. Alchen, ze mutar. You want to burn it in the house? You should always buy flowers before the Hag. I always buy flowers to Hag in the house. It's a very nice idea to buy, especially your spouse, some flowers. Okay, right? It's very
To
nice.
someone recently engaged.
Okay, said that.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Hacham.
Yeah. Laila Tov.
Skuli Shem Rabot.
Yeah, b'tahiyeh, b'tarich yamim. Everyone hopefully will enjoy the holiday, and by Bezat Hashem, by the next holidays of Shana, we should all be together in Bet Knesset.